So, yeah, at this point, you kind of know the drill. I mean, last time America's Got Talent was on, which, was awesome. But here's the thing. Normally, I don't really go to bed until after they made until after, like, the last act is done, and then I wait to sort of have, like, the initial reaction of, like, seeing who ended up moving on. But they haven't revealed who moved on yet, so I'm kind of at a loss for words. So, there actually is something that I did want to sort of talk about, and I figured since it was on my mind, why not talk about it now? So, happy hump day, everybody. I think it's a great day to talk about this. So, recently, a very distinguished member of the Trinity Pawling faculty had recently passed away. His name was Miles Hubbard. He was actually known far and wide throughout the community of, Trinity Pawling. And, the fact he's gone is, well, it's more than I could ever convey in words. It actually really is, kind of sad. Well, it's not kind of sad. It is very sad. It's very sad. In his own way, in his own right, that man was the GOAT. Now, full disclosure, at my time at Trinity Pawling, I never really met him. So, I can't quite really say that, his death impacted me in the way it would, impact others. I mean, I knew who he was, and, I did sort of meet him, but I didn't, get to know him, if that makes sense. So, in a way, I'm devastated, but, it's not quite as, significant. I bring this up because a couple of days ago at Trinity Pawling, they actually had sort of a memorial, ceremony for him. And, I mean, from what I hear, it went off with, out of hitch. It was all well and good. And so, everything turned out, great. I was looking at my Instagram the other day, and I noticed that one of my brothers, one who I actually graduated with, posted on his Instagram stories about his old locker room. So he actually played football for Trinity Pawling. So he got to show us the inside of the locker room, and specifically where his locker was. Now, when I was at Trinity Pawling, I did cross country, wrestling, and track. So I don't really have, I never really had a locker or anything like that. But, watching my brother's Instagram stories, it got me thinking, are there any specific places at Trinity Pawling that, I grew attached to myself? Like, whenever I think of, places at Trinity Pawling, like, what are the places that, come to mind the most? What do I think about? Well, I actually gave it some thought, and, well, the first thing I thought was, everywhere at Trinity Pawling is what I remember, which is not entirely true, because saying that everywhere at Trinity Pawling is memorable and I'll always remember it and stuff like that, I can't really say that, because that would have implied I've been to places like every single dorm room on campus, which is not even remotely true. So, can't really quite say that. I mean, I'll be honest, only one person I know could ever really say that, everywhere at Trinity Pawling is what I'll always remember. And for those of you who know this individual, you would agree that it's 100% true on that. So, joking aside, what places do I remember the most? What were the places that I would go to, or hang out, or get work done, or where I had class, stuff like that? Well, how about I talk about those places? Well, I guess the goodest place to start as any would be my own room, and by extension, my dorm. You know, it's obviously where, I've usually spent the most time. I mean, it's where I get my work done. It's where I would hang out during my in-class breaks, or, after school, after classes, before I had like sports practice in the afternoon, where I would be during study hall hours. And not to mention the fact that, I need 8 hours of sleep. Already a third of every single day I was there pretty much was in my room. So, yeah. That's pretty obvious, The downstairs TV room, that's another place I would hang out, if I wanted to, watch TV. If I didn't have any work to do, or if it was already done and I had nothing better to do, I just watch TV. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, now that that's taken care of, how about I get into other places that, wouldn't be places where you would likely find me? Well, technically you would likely find me at a lot of places, but let's be honest, the most obvious place I'd be would be, my room, because, your room is a safe space no matter where you are. So other places on campus that, I definitely would go to and hang out, first thing comes to mind is easily the cave. The cave is, it's another place you could, like, watch TV. It's another place where, if no one else is around, you could get your work done. They had board games on occasion. It was a place you could get, food. In fact, that was actually where I first had Mama's Pizza. Yeah, I actually, the cave actually had a Mama's Pizza delivered from, Mama's. So that was where I had it, They had, Mama's Pizza. They had chicken fingers. You can never go wrong with chicken fingers. Oh, chicken fingers and honey mustard is the best. It always was. Another thing they had at the cave that was always interesting that I have mentioned before is, they actually had a black and white cookies. Now, I'm from Crystal City. I'm from the Corning, Elmira, Big Flats, Horseheads area. So we had Crystal City Bakery, and they had the best Half Moon cookies. See, black and white Half Moon cookies are essentially the same thing. You can literally just, the names are interchangeable. That's how similar they are. So, it's a place if you want to, grab a quick bite to eat. They also had breakfast in the morning too, so I would get myself a toasted blueberry muffin. Toasted blueberry muffins were awesome, because they're like the big, giant Dunkin' Donut cupcake-like muffins that you see, which, let's be honest, they're wildly unhealthy for you, but man, they are so good. Although, and to the brother I actually just alluded to earlier, they did not have chocolate milk, which he would say is the breakfast of champions. Okay, so I hang out the cave, and by extension, Cluett Building. That's where it's pretty much the giant building you first see when you arrive at Trinity Poly. It's it's the one it's the place that easily catches one's eye when they arrive. So why not think about that? Because that's also where the library was. And no, I never really hung out at the library, but it's not to say I was never there. I mean, of course I was at the library. I mean, yeah, you get research done, your work done, so go to the library. So there's that. Let's see where else. Well, the chapel, I was there pretty much every day because I was singing the choir, every day that we had it. Although, fun fact about morning chapel service, we had every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We never had it on Wednesdays or Saturdays because, they're half days. But we would go there every Wednesday if you were a senior, or in my case, a PG, because, that's where we had senior meetings, which, they were fun. That was always really nice. Well, I have mentioned that, I did perform in, musical theater there and stuff, so the art building, obviously a place I also hung out. The stage is still awesome there. it was definitely a place where I would immediately go after, my work done, sports were done. We just had dinner, and, we had, theater rehearsal. I did black comedy in the fall, a day in Hollywood, the night of the Ukraine, and in the winter, and a series of one acts in the spring. That was always really fun to do. And, I mentioned all the other places, but I never really mentioned so far where I actually had my classes. Well, the majority of them, really. I mean, choir and theater arts were in the art room, in the art building. But my actual classes, I had, English 4 is what it was called, functional analysis and trigonometry, environmental studies, the quote-unquote Asian trilogy, which I'll explain what that was momentarily. That's where I had in the DAM building. That's pretty much where all your academics are. It's in a place called the DAM building. And before I forget, the Asian trilogy was, you had Asian history in the fall, Vietnam War in the winter, and United States-Asia relations in the 21st century in the spring. That was what they were called. Which, honestly, of all my classes, that was the class, unfortunately, I looked forward to the least. Not because of the material, but I'll be honest, I did not like the teacher at all. A lot of us didn't. I don't want to get into semantics as to how and why it was bad, since I have mentioned it before. But let me just say this to any and all students at Trinity Pawling or wherever you go. If a teacher outright insults you in front of your peers, you have the right to walk out of the room. Just saying. Anyway, so that's pretty much where I hung out. And, one of the last place I do want to talk about where, even though I didn't attend it, well, actually 2 places. One, when you did, cross country and track, you would obviously go all over the campus and the track as well. So, pretty much those areas I know by heart. But, I did wrestling, and we had a wrestling room, which was honestly doubled as an assembly hall, which thankfully never really had any of that stuff in the winter. So that was really nice. So I'd be in the wrestling room or, doing my athletics, cross country and track, that was really nice. But the one place I definitely do want to take note of, that even though I technically didn't hang out there a lot, it is something that it's just the kind of place where you take one look and you're going to remember this place forever. And that's the pod. It was always so tranquil, so peaceful. Plus in the wintertime, they actually had a sort of a quote unquote ice hockey tournament. So, Trinity Pawling was a big hockey place. So yeah, that was really cool. So yeah, come to think of it, I really did hang out a lot. Oh, Star Hill, too. Star Hill was really awesome. Well, Star Hill, I only know about that place because, cross country, we run up and down that thing like crazy. So, yeah. So, no, fairness, oh, and the dining hall. Can't forget the dining hall. I mean, you obviously had to sit down dinner somewhere, so the dining hall. Even though technically the dining hall was being rebuilt, so we had it at the barn, which is no longer being used for dining purposes, obviously, used for storage now, but, yeah, so, yeah. I could have said that pretty much everywhere Trinity Pawling is places I'll always remember, but, factually that wouldn't technically be true. But I can't say I hung out at a lot of places, and I'm all the happier for it. So, yeah. In the end, I'm happy that, I can talk about stuff like this. And in the end, I'm glad that, I would say about 99.9, well, not 99.9, I'd say, I'll give it 98.5% of everything at Trinity Pawling I really loved as a whole. So, that's pretty darn good. I mean, yeah, there were some pretty bad parts, but this is a place where the good generally outweighed the bad. And if I knew then what I knew now, I would do it again. Although, I'd be going there for an entirely different reason. Although I should really talk about why I went. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Oh, and before I finish off the video for today, 3 words. Stone. Darn it, I messed that up. I messed up the count again. I can't believe I messed up the count again. Darn it. 4 words. Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's tomorrow's guest on Hot Ones. As someone who grew up for a little while watching like the WWE and all the wrestling related stuff, collected action figures and stuff, I am super excited. Cannot wait for tomorrow. But I think tomorrow I'll also talk about why I personally went to Trinity Poly. So stay tuned for that. Like, favorite, share, hit that subscribe button, follow me on the social media platforms, turn on notifications on YouTube. I am humbled I made this video for all of you guys to watch and enjoy for today. I hope we have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful hump day. And remember, for you guys on my talking channel is going to be here to London here. And I'll always have your back. Take care and make good choices. See ya.